The Buddha teaches about the 8 sufferings in life, not only as a reminder of the impermanence of human existence, but also as a guide to help individuals recognize and overcome suffering through the cultivation of the mind and wisdom. These sufferings reflect the inherent imperfection of human life, from birth to death. Birth suffering. Life begins with pain. From the moment of conception, the fetus endures the confinement and complete dependency on the mother's body. Upon birth, we face a new world filled with challenges, from the pain of the first cry to the difficulties of growing up. This is the suffering of birth, the beginning of a journey filled with uncertainty. Old age suffering. Time does not spare anyone. As age increases, the body weakens, appearance fades, and the mind becomes less sharp. This suffering is not only physical, but also involves the helplessness of facing the destruction caused by time. Illness suffering. Health is a precious asset, but no one can escape the pain of sickness. Every ache, every irregularity in the body serves as a reminder of the fragility of life. Illness not only depletes the body, but also erodes the spirit, causing fear and despair. Death suffering. Death is not merely the end of life, but the source of much anxiety and regret. Fear of death, the sorrow of unfinished tasks, and the pain of parting from loved ones all contribute to the deepest suffering in life. Separation from loved ones suffering. Humans long to be close to those they love. However, life does not always align with our desires. Separation, whether temporary or permanent, leaves a void and sorrow in the heart. Encountering hatred suffering. In life, one cannot avoid relationships with people they dislike. Having to face, interact, or even collaborate with those one does not care for becomes a psychological burden, causing fatigue and discomfort. Unfulfilled desires suffering. The longing for things is the root of much pain. When desires are not fulfilled, people easily fall into disappointment, suffering, and helplessness. This is a profound lesson in letting go and accepting reality. The suffering of the 5 aggregates. This suffering arises from the conflict between body and mind, between the elements that make up a person: form, body, feeling, sensations, perception, thoughts, volition, actions, and consciousness, awareness. The disharmony between these elements leads to anxiety, confusion, and suffering. The Buddha teaches that recognizing the 8 sufferings is not meant to wallow in despair, but to awaken. Understanding that all suffering is the result of ignorance, desire, and attachment. The path to liberation lies in cultivating compassion, wisdom, and following the noble 8-fold path. Through this, we can transcend suffering and live a life of peace and purity. Understanding suffering in life is an important step toward realizing the nature of existence and finding ways to overcome the inevitable suffering that is part of the human condition. Buddhism teaches that suffering is a natural part of life, from the body to the mind, and no one can escape it. Whether rich or poor, young or old, everyone must face various forms of suffering. However, the difference lies in how each person accepts and transforms this suffering. Those who are enlightened, through wisdom and practice, may feel physical pain but are not bound by it mentally. They have learned to let go of attachment and live with a serene mind. The Buddha points out that the root cause of suffering lies in the roots of defilements: greed, anger, ignorance, pride, doubt, and wrong views. Greed is the constant craving. Anger is hatred and resentment. Ignorance is the lack of understanding about the true nature of life. Pride is arrogance, thinking oneself superior to others. Doubt is skepticism, not believing in the truth. And wrong views are mistaken perceptions that cause attachment and division between self and others. The ego, seeing the self as the center, and attachment, clinging to material things, emotions, or ideas, give rise to suffering. When people fail to recognize the impermanence of all things, they easily fall into the cycle of disappointment and pain. The way to overcome suffering lies in cultivating understanding of its origins and transforming it. The Buddha teaches that to reduce suffering, we must train the mind to live simply, knowing how to desire little, be content with enough. Instead of chasing endless ambitions, we need to learn to be satisfied with what we have. Contentment not only reduces greed, but also brings peace to the heart. At the same time, facing suffering directly, rather than avoiding or denying it, helps one grow in wisdom and morality. Living in the present, letting go of attachments to the past and future, is the key to liberation. Buddhism emphasizes that the path to transforming suffering does not lie in changing the external world, but in changing oneself. By practicing the Noble Eightfold Path, right view, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration, we can cultivate the mind to achieve inner peace and freedom. This is the path that leads to liberation from all suffering. The lesson from suffering is one of the profound teachings that Buddhism imparts. Suffering is not something to avoid or deny, but an opportunity to understand the true nature of happiness. Only by going through difficulties, losses, and challenges can we truly appreciate the value of peaceful moments and small joys in life. Suffering is also a test that helps one develop willpower and endurance, enabling them to rise stronger. It is like fire testing gold, strengthening the soul and helping it grow through each experience. The attitude with which we face suffering is the key factor in how we overcome life's challenges. The Buddha teaches that instead of blaming fate, we should learn to live optimistically, calmly, and accept that everything is impermanent. This attitude does not mean indifference or passivity, but rather mindfulness and acceptance that all things are transient. When the heart learns to let go of attachments to material things, fame, or negative emotions, we will find peace and tranquility. Valuing each moment in the present helps reduce regrets about the past and worries about the future. Living with peace of mind means not clinging to the ego, not imposing expectations on oneself or others, and minimizing resentment and blame. This is the way to preserve the purity of the heart. According to Buddhist philosophy, the meaning of life is not in pursuing material success or perfection, but in love, sharing, and nurturing good relationships. Living meaningfully is not about avoiding loss, but about how we adjust our mindset to face it. Gain and loss, joy and sorrow, all are natural parts of life. Instead of focusing on controlling the uncontrollable, we should focus on living fully and doing the best with what we have. The final message the Buddha wishes to impart is a profound reminder about the impermanence and natural flow of the universe. In Buddhist thought, everything from birth, growth, aging, to death are cycles that cannot be avoided, driven by the karma each individual creates through their actions, speech, and thoughts. A person's fate, although seemingly unchangeable, is actually the result of causes and conditions created in the past and present. Resisting or trying to change fate only adds to suffering because it goes against the natural laws. Instead of facing difficulties with anger, frustration, or disappointment, the Buddha teaches us to learn to appreciate whatever life brings, whether it is happiness or challenges. When facing challenges, tranquility in the heart is the key to maintaining peace, no matter how turbulent life may be. Life is short, and every moment, whether joyful or sorrowful, is an opportunity for us to grow, love, and seek peace within ourselves. We cannot control everything that happens in life, but we can control how we respond to it. By living mindfully and appreciating what we have, we will realize that happiness does not come from obtaining everything we want, but from living with a pure heart, not clinging to fleeting things. We sincerely thank you for taking the time to watch this video until the end. If you found this content helpful, please leave a comment to share your thoughts. Don't forget to hit the like button to support us in continuing to create valuable videos. Especially, please follow the channel so you won't miss any new content. Your support is a great motivation for us to keep improving and bringing more meaningful lessons. We wish you health, peace, and happiness.